Hello there, my name is David with DaySmart Salon. This is the Stylist webinar for DaySmart Salon, and we're going to go through those things that are going to be daily usage. So just to give you an idea, we're going to go through making an appointment, checking in an appointment, adding a client, looking up client notes, checking out an appointment. Then we're also going to go through creating a retail transaction, go through returns, and round it out by going through counting out the drawer at the end of the day. All right, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's start off by showing you where you were going to go to log in. So I'm actually going to log out of my account for a second. So this is the website here. We're daysmartsalon.com, and I'll go ahead and go here and log in. When you create your account, you should have a temporary login, but then if you don't know it, just hit forgot password. You can always change that. So I'll hit login here to get logged into my account. And I'm going to turn off this little banner here to switch to the classic site because I want to stick with the new look. So that's what you're seeing here. And I have quite a few appointments on here that are color coded. But let's just do a little lay of the land. So up here at the top, you have this taskbar that's going to navigate you to different parts of the program. So here is my client list. Here is my list of services. And here is my list of employees. And I can go into these lists and I can click on the employees and go into employee details. The navigation here, you can always hit this little plus sign, and that is going to pull up the add screen on any of these screens that you're on, right? So I'm going to discard my changes. If I click on more, I got a bunch of different options here. You might not see all of the options that I have. It depends on how your account is set up. If you see any options on here you want more information about, go ahead and reach out to us directly. The phone number to call us is 1-800-604-2040. Once again, 1-800-604-2040. That'll get you right on the phone with the tech support team. All right, so let's just jump back here to the appointment book screen. This is the screen that you guys are going to spend a lot of time on. So let's actually focus on this a little bit, right? So over here on the left-hand side, we have this little calendar. You can navigate with the calendar out to a different day in the future. You can jump out a certain number of weeks. You can also hide the calendar if you want to see more on the screen. Also, your display options are up here at the top. This is where you choose the number of employees that you want to show on the screen at a given moment. So if I wanted to look at just Dave, I could do that, look at just Dave, or I could switch it back to all employees to show all the employees on here as well. I can also change the number of days that I'm looking at. So if I click into here, I can look at the day view, week view, month view, just depending on what you need and how you're wanting to filter through the appointments to find a bit availability or just look at your days in the future. Cool. All right, so let's go through one of the basic parts of the program, which is actually scheduling the appointment. So I'm going to click right here on the appointment book one time, and it's going to pull up this little appointment card. Now, the appointment card is a very quick and simple way to book an appointment. So I can stay on this appointment card, and I can find my client. Let's just choose the first one here. I can choose a service. Now it's going to indicate previous services here for this client. So let's go ahead and use that previous service that's selected here. Now, if you didn't see the service you were looking for, you would just start typing in here and it would pull up the services from your service menu, right? The administrative webinar is going to go through the nuanced ways that you can add in services. We won't go through that in this one. To your service menu, let's just choose that previous service on here, and it's going to pull up this little alert that's telling us that the price that this person paid was different than the price that's listed. So the price they paid last time on June 9th was different. And I'll say, yeah, use that previous price. So it's going to go ahead and do that for us. Now you'll notice there's a conflict on the schedule. It's telling us that there's a confliction here. That's okay. The system will allow you to double book. It's just letting you know that there is a confliction. And then if I wanted to, I could also select an appointment type. Let's go ahead and say that this was a requested appointment and hit schedule to add that onto the appointment book. So hit schedule like so, and then that's going to add it onto the appointment book. Now, you'll see when they're overlapping, they'll just kind of be superimposed one over the other. It will do that, when you can actually triple and quadruple book in the appointment book, it'll let you do that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this appointment, and I'm actually going to make this one go away. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to click this little button that says no show. And I'm not going to mark it as a no-show, but I will say that this was a test. And I will cancel this appointment out of the appointment books. And there we go. We're going to make that one go away. Now, what I will do, though, is replace it with another appointment. But this time, I'm actually going to the appointment details screen, because the appointment details screen gives you a bunch of information about the client, and it's actually in my opinion, the screen that I would almost always go to book appointments because of those details. So I'll select John Appleseed, and then I'll hit appointment details down here. Okay, and now this pulls up the appointment details screen, and on the appointment details screen, there is a button for previous service, right? It's going to list all the previous services and the prices that this person had in the system when I'm adding in my list of services. But beyond that, up here under the client's name, I actually have the notes section where I can see previous notes that I have in this client's profile. I could also see a list of upcoming appointments here, and at least a list of recent visits would show here as well. And last but not least on here is photos, right? This is all built right into the appointment interface. So I haven't actually left the appointment interface to look at this client information. I can just collapse this away, and I'm still here on this appointment screen. And let's go ahead and choose our service. And one thing to point out about this is when you choose the service on this screen, you have the ability to go in and change all the details. On the appointment card, I could not change the price manually. I could also not change the duration. So let's say that for this one, it's going to take a little longer, and because of that, it's going to cost a little more, right? So we'll do that. And then if I wanted to schedule this, I could go ahead and just hit this schedule to throw this on the appointment book. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll throw it on the appointment book here. Okay, and then there's my appointment. Now, let's say that I wanted to move the appointment. I could click on it and drag it to where I want to move it to. I could also choose that I wanted to show multiple days, and then pick it up from one day and drag it over to a different day if I wanted to. And it'll let me put it there. And then let's say I wanted to move the appointment out into the future, far into the future. I could actually take it and drag it down this little clipboard down here, and I put it in the clipboard, and then I click to the date I want to move it to, and then I just pick it up from the clipboard and then put it on the date that I want to move it to, like that. Awesome. Now you can always just click on the appointment itself and go into the details screen here and change it by clicking on a little calendar function here, and I'll just jump it back to today, right? All right, now what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to change the time to be 6:30. All right, so that way you can put it right where we want it to go, like so. Oh, now it looks like there is going to be a confliction here. That's okay. I'll just switch this person over, and we'll hit save here. And then throw it back on the appointment book screen for today. All right, there we go. So once the appointment has been scheduled, the system's going to send out automatic reminders to remind the person to come to their appointment. They're going to confirm. In most instances, you'll have that turned on, and the client will reply with a letter C, and it will actually show on this screen that the appointment is already confirmed through the text message. Now, when the customer shows up, that's when you're actually going to click on this little button here to check the client in. So let's go ahead and check that client in. All right, and it just puts this little check mark on the appointment to let us know that the appointment has been checked in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into the details screen here because I want to go into the full client profile and show you what that looks like. So if I click here on this little view profile option, there we go. It's going to pull up the full client profile here. So everything about the client, all of their personal information that didn't show on the appointment book screen would show here. And then you could go into here and add in their address, how did they hear about you, special comments section down here. You got the full client history, how much money they've spent, how many appointments they've had, list of all their purchases, everything. And then in here under points and balance, this is where you would see if the client had a balance of loyalty points, which we can go through that probably in the administrative video, but that is a system that sets up these automatic points that accrue, and then they qualify people for certain discounts. And then a newly added function down here is a client balance screen, which will indicate that the customer owes you money, or that you owe the customer money. So instead of handing them money for a refund, you could give them a credit on their account or something like that. There also is this form integration. In general, the system can send out automatic forms to have the customer fill these forms out in order to get certain information about the customers saved on the customer's profile here. And then continuing down the line, we got notes, and then we got photos. Now, I don't know if there's any photos of this person. Oh, there's a photo of a pet. So what I'm going to do is hit this add new photo right here, and this should pull up the photos on my computer, and then I'll just choose one of these. I don't know what any of these are. There we go here. And then it's going to save. Yeah, so it's a picture of a pet. So it's going to save on here into the system as a picture of this client. All right, and let's just jump back here. So that's all of the client details. And once I've done all of my changing to the client profile or looking up on the client profile here, I could just close the tab for the client profile screen and go back to the appointment, right? So I can click in here and look in the details here, but if I can't find everything, click on this view profile. It's going to open up the full profile of the customer on a separate window. Awesome. So let's say that I've looked up everything I need to look up, and maybe I want to go in here and type in my notes of what I did. So I'm going to save that into here, and then once I've done what I need to do, I could go up here to Actions and click Checkout, and then that's going to allow me to check out this appointment, take me to the checkout screen. But I could also get to the checkout screen by going up here, up at the very top, and going to Checkout, and then that's going to show a list of appointments, and then I could click on the appointment I want to check out and check it out that way. I'm going to go back to the appointments book screen and show you this way, and then we're going to use the checkout screen in a second here to create a separate transaction. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to hit checkout. There we go. It pulls up my checkout screen, and on here it wants to potentially get me to sell the person a product, right? So let's go ahead and scroll down here. I got packages in here too, so I'll choose a product. There we go. All right, and then the person selling the product, it doesn't necessarily have to be the service provider that did the service. Let's go ahead and say that. This would be another spot to change the price. If I needed to change the price or add a discount, I could do that here too. There's a previous products option, which is going to show you a list of previous products this person has bought. And then also, this would be if you wanted to redeem a loyalty reward, or if you wanted to add a credit to their balance. So they're going to give you money to then put on their account as a balance. Okay, so once we've done everything we need to do here, we're ready to go to the payment screen. So we'll click Proceed to Payments, and then this is where we're going to click on the payment type to kind of finish this out. So I have the integrated credit card processing through Card Connect, which is a very nice feature to have. So I can click on this little credit button, and it is going to pull up a linked credit card device. I could also add the credit card onto the client's profile, keep the card on file for them in order to charge that card later. So with the integrated credit card processing, that process is very easy. Without it, it's also pretty easy too. If you were just going to record the method of payment, you could hit Custom here, and then you just select the method of payment here from the list. So I'll choose Visa, and then I'll put in the total amount paid, like that, and hit Add Payment. And then it's going to list it as a change amount given. So it's $8.59 given back. Most of the time, this kind of payment would be given as a tip. So I'm going to hit this Add Tip, and I'm going to go ahead and add it for the service provider, not the person who sold the product. So we'll do that, and then add that tip in like so, and we're ready to go ahead and close out the ticket. So I'll hit Close Ticket in order to close that out. Now, when I'm closing out the ticket, it's going to want me to either print the receipt, email the receipt, or skip the receipt. I'll go ahead and hit Skip Receipt for the time being. And then it wants to know if I want to rebook or jump to the calendar. Let's hit the rebook option, and I'll show what that looks like. So the rebook screen pulls up this little calendar, or this little card, this appointment card, and it's got the services on here, right? And then I would just click out the number of weeks I want to jump to, and then just hit Schedule and put it on the calendar for that person's day, right? So they make that rebooking process real easy. And if I wanted to jump back to today in the calendar, I could just hit this little Today button, and then that is going to jump me back to today in the calendar. And I want you to notice that the appointment here is checked out, so it's blacked out on the screen. That indicates that it's been checked out. Now, in order to make the appointment go away entirely, I could actually click on Update, and then up here under Actions, I have the ability to void the transaction. So if you make a mistake, you'd void the transaction and then basically have to redo it. So I'm going to void this out, and I'm just going to say that it was a test again in order to void that out, and hit Void here. Okay. Awesome. So that's the appointment process, pretty abridged, but that's the gist of it. And then what we're going to do is go through the checkout screen again. And this time, the scenario that we're going to pretend is somebody walks in and they want to buy a product, or they call over the phone and they want to pay for something over the phone or something like that. So they don't have an appointment. So we're going to go to checkout, and we're going to jump right to the Search Clients button right here. And then we're going to go ahead and type in the client, right? So we're going to choose that client. We're going to choose John Appleseed again. And this screen should look really familiar. We were just here. It jumps you right to the checkout screen, but you'll notice there's nothing on here. There's no items on here. So if I wanted to sell a product, I just come into here. I would scan the product, right? If I had a barcode scanner and the barcodes were in the system, but then I'll pull up the product like this, and then I could proceed to payment and check this person out. That part is going to look very familiar too. So I'm going to, for a second here, enact a different scenario where somebody walks in and they want to return something. So I could click this return an item. It pulls up the search for an item options. You could return a product or a service, either one. I'm going to choose the product, that's more likely. And then it says, do you want to add it to the inventory or not? You would click this box if it was sellable. If it was not sellable, then you wouldn't have to click that box. And then you just hit add to order. And what it's going to do here is it's going to have a negative amount, right? So here's a negative $47. If I hit proceed to payment, it's going to want me to indicate what type of refund I'm giving, right? So that's an option there. Right on this screen though, if I hit this add credit to balance, I could actually go ahead and take that amount as a refund and put it on as a client balance, right? So something along those lines. And actually, I'd have to do a balance for the full amount with tax, which is why there's a little bit hanging off the end here, but you kind of get the idea, all right? So let's go ahead and hit this proceed to payments after we ring up just a normal product, right? So we'll keep it simple. We'll do that. We're going to go ahead and hit proceed to payments. All right, and then I'm just going to add a cash payment this time, and we'll do a $50 bill. Add that payment in. The change amount listed here, and then we're ready to go ahead and hit this close ticket. All right, awesome. So this will look familiar. I'll hit skip receipt, and then I'm just going to jump back to the calendar to go back to the calendar screen. All right, cool. Now to round out the end of the video here, what I'm going to do is go through, counting out the drawer at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, most people are going to count out the drawer. So I'm going to click up here on more, and then go into the more drop down and go down here to where it says drawer. So I'll go into the drawer function. There's no cash drawer balances here, so let's go ahead and just click on this little plus sign, and I'll go ahead and add this cash drawer balance in, right? So when I'm doing this, I'm going to record the employee that's doing the cash drawer balance, also the date that it's for, and then there's a comment section on here. And if I scroll down, this is where I would put in the amount of bills that I'm counting. So if I counted, 20 of these, put that in, 5 of these, so on and so forth, until all of the funds were accounted for. And then it's going to tell me the amount that I've counted. It's going to tell me the amount that I should have had at the beginning of the day, how much money I took in, and this is the amount that should be in the drawer. And then it's going to tell you if you're over or short. So the drawer is a little short here. No big deal. It's just an example. But then down at the bottom where it says non-cash, this is where you would go in and be able to see any non-cash items on here, and also reconcile those non-cash items against your outside reports. Like if you were running a report from a credit card processor or something like that, it would show all of the credit card payments here, check payments, all that stuff. Cool. So once I'm done, I could just go ahead and hit this save button, and that's going to go ahead and save that out for me. And then here is my cash drawer balance. Now I'm actually going to make this one go away by hitting the trash can and then delete that out of the system. A couple other things I wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap it up here and open it up to the live demo and the questions. Up here at the top of the screen, if you click on your name, this is where you're actually going to clock into the program right here. So currently I'm logged in as Sally. If I click clock in, it's going to basically clock Sally in. I'll hit OK. And then once Sally's been clocked in, the clock out option is going to show up here in order to clock that person out, right? And then I'll go ahead and just hit the save option in order to save that. Cool. And you guys have a great day.